Commander Elias Grant sat in the command chair of the small human scout ship Resolute. The stars stretched like silver dust across the dark sea of space. His ship was alone on the edge of the borderlands, where human space touched the territories of the Vulpine clans. He had been assigned to survey distant asteroid belts and check for signs of pirate activity. It was supposed to be a routine mission, quiet and uneventful. Elias preferred it that way. Peace meant safety for his crew and less chance of diplomatic accidents. The Vulpine were proud, secretive, and very protective of their space. Humans and Vulpines had met only a few decades earlier, and though trade existed, trust was thin. The Resolute was small but fast, designed for reconnaissance, not war. Elias had learned to be cautious on the frontier. Out here, a single wrong move could mean disaster. The silence broke when the sensors screamed with warning signals. "Captain," called Lieutenant Moreno, his sensor officer. "I'm picking up a distress beacon. It's Vulpine frequency." Elias leaned forward. "Location: 2 million kilometers off our port side. A civilian ship. Shields are weak. They're under attack." The bridge fell quiet. Ilias's crew looked at him, waiting. Everyone knew the rules. Humans were not to interfere in Vulpine internal matters. The treaty was fragile, and one reckless act could spark tension. Yet the distress signal repeated, carrying the universal tones of desperation. Elias could almost feel the fear in it. "Who's attacking?" Elias asked. Moreno's fingers flew over the console. "Pirates. Mixed craft, no official markings. They've already disabled the Vulpine's main drive." Elias gritted his teeth. He had seen what pirates did to captured ships. He thought of families, of children trapped in that vessel. "Orders, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Chen, his helmsman. Elias hesitated. The safe choice was to turn away, report the incident, and let the Vulpines handle it. But help might come too late. He stood. "Helm, set course for the beacon. Tactical charge weapons. We're going in." The crew obeyed without question. They trusted their commander. Elias trusted his instincts. The Resolute streaked across the void, engines burning bright. Soon the battlefield came into view, a sleek Vulpine transport surrounded by 3 pirate ships. Laser fire lit the darkness like flashing daggers. The transport's shields flickered weakly on the edge of collapse. "Target scan complete," Moreno reported. "Pirates are lightly armored, but they outgun us 3-1. Elias's lips curved into a thin smile. "Then we'll just have to fight like humans." He tapped the console. "Load decoys. Prepare electronic countermeasures. Helm, bring us in fast. Erratic flight pattern." The pirates noticed them almost immediately. 2 of the ships broke away from the transport and angled toward the Resolute. A mocking transmission filled the bridge speakers. A lone human ship? Brave or foolish? "You'll burn with the foxes." Elias ignored them. He ordered flares deployed, creating a storm of false signals. The pirate targeting systems wavered, confused by the swarm of decoys. The Resolute dove through them, slipping past heavy fire. "Now," Elias barked. The Resolute fired twin plasma bursts at the nearest pirate vessel. The shots ripped across its hull, damaging engines. The ship spun out of control, trailing sparks. "Good hit," Moreno shouted, but the second pirate was already on them, cannons blazing. The Resolute shuddered under impact. Panels sparked, alarms screamed, shields down to 60%. Called the engineer. Elias kept his voice steady. "Stay calm." Helm, sharp turn cut across their path. The Resolute banked sharply, sliding underneath the pirate's larger hull. At Elias's command, they fired a cluster of magnetic charges. The explosives clamped onto the pirate's hull and detonated, shredding its armor. Flames erupted as the pirate craft broke apart. "One more down," Elias said quietly. His crew cheered, but the fight was not finished. The third pirate had abandoned the transport and was rushing to join. The damaged pirate still lingered, struggling to recover. 2 against 1 again. "Transport shields are gone," Moreno warned. "They'll be boarded within minutes." Elias's jaw tightened. He could not let that happen. Prepare stealth run, he ordered. Kill all lights. Minimum power to shields. Helm, bring us between the pirates and the transport. Tactical focus, fire on their weapons only. We don't need to destroy, we just need to break their teeth. The Resolute slid silently into position, almost invisible in the void. When the pirates drew near, Elias struck. Fire. Plasma fire lanced out, smashing into the nearest pirates' cannons. The sudden ambush caught them unprepared. One ship lost its guns in a flash of molten metal. The second turned wildly, trying to respond, but Elias kept the pressure. Target engines. Another volley crippled the pirates' drive. Now both enemy ships were half disabled, unable to fight effectively. Realizing they were beaten, the pirate commander cursed over open channel and ordered retreat. The surviving vessels limped away into hyperspace. Leaving their prey, the Vulpine transport drifted in silence, hull scarred and engines dead. Elias opened comms. This is Commander Elias Grant of the human vessel Resolute. Do you require assistance? Static filled the line before a weary voice replied. We thank you. We are alive because of you, Elias exhaled in relief. We'll tow you to safety. As they drew alongside, scans revealed the transport carried only a handful of survivors. Among them was a young Vulpine girl with silver fur, her clothes torn, her eyes wide with fear. She looked no older than a teenager by human measure. Standing beside her was a tall woman with rich golden fur. Dressed in ceremonial robes despite the battle damage. Her posture was proud, her gaze sharp. She carried herself with authority the moment they boarded the Resolute. The woman bowed formally. I am Valara, matriarch of Clan Sarath. This is my daughter, Lady Sira. You have saved her life, human. By our law, you have saved mine as well, Elias frowned. I only did what anyone would do. You owe me nothing. Valara's eyes glowed with intensity. You are mistaken. Among the Vulpine, to save the life of a noble's child is to bind yourself to their bloodline. You have claimed us both, whether you intended it or not. Liaz blinked in disbelief. Claimed? I don't understand, Valara straightened. It is simple. By ancient tradition, you are now joined to us. Our lives, our honor, our future are tied to you. This law cannot be broken. Around them, the crew of the Resolute exchanged uneasy glances. Sira stepped forward, her voice soft but certain. You are my rescuer. The stars chose you. Now you are family. Elias felt a chill. He had wanted only to help, but now he found himself entangled in a web of alien tradition. With consequences he could not yet imagine. The matriarch's final words rang in his ears like a judgment. By law, human, you must claim us both. Commander Elias Grant sat in his quarters aboard the Resolute, staring at the silent stars beyond the viewport. He had faced pirates, navigated asteroid fields, and even survived fleet battles. But nothing had shaken him as much as a few words spoken by Matriarch Valara. By law, human. You must claim us both, the phrase repeated in his mind like a bell that refused to stop ringing. He had never asked for this. He had only wanted to save lives. But now he was tied to an alien clan, bound by rules he didn't even understand. A knock sounded at the door. Enter, Elias said, his voice weary. Valara stepped inside, tall and regal even in borrowed human clothing. Her golden fur shimmered faintly under the lights. Her daughter Sira followed closely, her silver tail flicking nervously. Commander, Valara began, her tone formal. You seem unsettled? Elias leaned back in his chair. Unsettled? You told me I now own two people I never asked to own. Forgive me if that feels wrong. Valara's eyes narrowed. You misunderstand. The bond is not ownership. It is duty. You saved Sira's life, and by our law, the rescuer must protect and guide the family tied to that life. It is ancient tradition. To refuse it would insult my people. Elias rubbed his forehead. And what if I don't accept? What happens then? Valara's voice grew sharper. Then the council will judge you as one who mocks our honor. At best, they will ban you from our space. At worst, she paused, it could be seen as an act of war. Sira finally spoke, her voice soft but steady. "We do not mean to trap you, Commander, but the law is older than stars. It binds us as tightly as blood." Elias sighed. He wanted to argue, but he saw the truth in their eyes. This was no simple custom that could be ignored. This was survival of their identity, their culture. The following day, the Resolute escorted the damaged Vulpine transport to the nearest starport within Vulpine territory. The port was vast, built into the side of a glowing blue moon. Towering spires rose above landing platforms, each carved with the graceful curves of Vulpine artistry. As they docked, Elias felt every eye on him. News had spread quickly. A human had saved the matriarch's daughter. Whispers echoed through the starport halls. That's him. The outsider. The one bound by the law. Will he respect it or defile it? Elias walked between Valara and Sira, his posture straight, but his mind uneasy. He was used to soldiers staring at him, but this was different. These people looked at him as if he were both savior and threat. At the center of the starport waited the Vulpine Council Hall, a grand chamber lined with silver banners. Elders in fine robes sat in curved rows, their sharp eyes fixed on the newcomers. Valara stepped forward, bowing low. "Honored Council, I present the human who saved my daughter, Lady Sira, from death at the hands of pirates. By our law, he is bound to us." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some elders nodded in respect, others scowled. One elder, with fur black as night, stood. "This human is an intruder. He interfered in our matters without permission. Should we reward him for violating our space?" Another elder, silver-furred and calm, countered, "He saved the matriarch's child. That cannot be ignored. If the law is to mean anything, we must honor it even, if it binds us to an outsider." Elias spoke then, his voice clear, though his heart pounded. "I didn't come here to claim anyone. I only wanted to stop pirates from killing innocent people. I don't want to disrespect your laws, but I also don't want to be forced into something I never agreed to." At a council chamber fell silent. Valara's gaze was steady. "And yet, Commander, intention does not matter. Action does. The law speaks." That night, Elias was given quarters within the matriarch's estate. The building was grand, filled with flowing designs, soft light, and the scent of wild herbs. Despite the beauty, Elias felt like a stranger in a cage. He walked the halls alone until he found a balcony overlooking the shining city. Stars glittered above, and ships moved like fireflies across the sky. Sira approached quietly, her silver fur catching the moonlight. She stood beside him, her expression thoughtful. "You don't like this bond?" she said softly. Elias glanced at her. "It's not about liking or disliking. I don't understand it. Where I come from, saving someone's life doesn't make you their family. It just means you did the right thing." Sira tilted her head. "Among my people, saving a life is more than an action. It is a promise. We believe no life is saved by chance, it is chosen by fate. You were chosen." Her words carried a weight Elias could not icily dismiss. Before he could reply, Valara appeared behind them. "Commander, we must speak privately." Sira bowed and left, leaving Elias with the matriarch. Valara's voice was calm but edged with steel. "The council is divided. Some believe you should be honored. Others believe you should be executed to preserve purity of law. If you are to survive here, you must prove yourself worthy." Elias crossed his arms. "And how exactly am I supposed to do that?" Valara's eyes narrowed. "By showing that humanity is not weak. By showing that your presence strengthens us, rather than shames us." The chance came sooner than expected. The following day, scouts brought grim news. Pirate activity was rising again, closer than ever to Vulpine worlds. These were not random raiders, but organized strikes. Supplies stolen, colonies attacked, trade disrupted. Elias listened to the report alongside the council. A pattern was clear to him, though the elders argued endlessly. "They're testing your defenses," Elias said. "This isn't just piracy. Someone is backing them. Someone wants your people weakened." The black-furred elder sneered. "And do you think you, an outsider, see what we do not?" Elias met his gaze firmly. Yes, because I've fought pirates before. I know how they work. They're like wolves. They don't strike without purpose. They're preparing for something larger. Some council members murmured agreement. Valara's tail flicked thoughtfully. Then perhaps, she said slowly, this human's bond is not a curse, but a shield. His insight may help us survive what comes. The debate continued late into the night, but the seed was planted. Elias had given them reason to listen. In the days that followed, Elias began working with Vulpine officers, teaching them human tactics. He showed them how to use decoys, electronic tricks, and unpredictability. At first, they resisted Vulpian's valued honor and directness. But gradually, they began to see the value. Sira often watched his lessons, her eyes bright with curiosity. She asked questions, eager to learn. Valara, meanwhile, tested Elias constantly, challenging his decisions, measuring his resolve. Despite the tension, a strange respect grew between them. Elias began to see that the bond was not just chains, it was also a bridge. Yet danger loomed. One night, while reviewing star charts, Elias received a secret message from his ship. Commander Intel, intercept. Pirates are gathering near the border. Not random. Coordinated fleet. Possible foreign power behind them. Elias's heart sank. He had been right. The Vulpines were walking into a storm. He turned to the stars beyond the window, knowing what awaited him, if the Vulpines would survive, if Valara and Sira were truly his responsibility. Then he could no longer stand aside. The law had bound him to them. Now his choice would decide whether that bond meant survival or destruction. The days after the council meeting were restless. Commander Elias Grant found himself in a strange rhythm, half soldier, half diplomat, half teacher. He spent mornings in the council chamber, arguing strategy with Vulpine elders. Afternoons were spent on the training grounds, where he demonstrated tactics to curious officers. Nights he spent in restless thought, staring out at alien skies, wondering how fate had carried him here. But the storm he had predicted finally came. It began with scattered reports. A convoy raided. A mining colony burned. A defense outpost silenced. At first, the elders dismissed them as isolated incidents, the work of desperate raiders. Elias knew better. This is a probe, he told Valara, as they stood over a glowing star map in the estate's war room. They're testing your borders, seeing where you are weakest. When they've mapped your blind spots, they'll strike. Valara's golden eyes studied the map. You speak as though you have seen this before. I have, Elias replied. Pirates don't waste energy. They strike like wolves, circling until they find the throat. And I think they found it. As if summoned by his words, alarms sounded across the city. Emergency broadcasts filled the air. Hostile fleet detected at the edge of the system. Civilian transports under fire. Requesting immediate defense response. Sira burst into the chamber, her silver fur bristling. Mother, they are attacking near the capital routes. Valara's tail lashed, so bold. They dare strike here? Elias felt his heart quicken. This was no longer a distant threat. The pirates were coming straight for the heart of Vulpine civilization. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Elders shouted over one another, some demanding retreat, others calling for honor duels in space. The Blackford elder slammed his staff on the floor. We must face them directly. Line our ships in formation and crush them with honor. Elias stepped forward. If you do that, you'll lose. They'll outnumber you, surround you, and break you apart. You can't fight wolves by marching in a straight line, the elder snarled. You presume to tell us how to defend our own stars? Valara raised her hand for silence. Enough. The human has fought pirates before. Let him speak. Elias pointed at the star map. You need to think like them. Pirates expect you to fight predictably. They know your traditions, your pride. That's why they attack here. But humans, we fight differently. We adapt, we trick, we use chaos. If you let me command, I can buy you the time you need. The chamber fell silent. The idea of handing authority to an outsider was unthinkable. But desperation had a way of bending even the oldest traditions. Finally, Valara spoke. You saved my daughter. You are bound to us by law. I will trust you with this battle. Elders, if you object, then step forward and lead yourselves. Otherwise, stand aside." Reluctantly, the council yielded. The defense fleet gathered near the moon's orbit. Dozens of Vulpine warships, sleek and silver, assembled in proud formations. At their center, the matriarch's flagship burned with gold banners, and alongside them, the small human scout ship Resolute took its place. An unlikely companion among giants. Elias stood on the command deck of the flagship, Valara and Sira at his side. Officers watched him with sharp, doubtful eyes. He took a deep breath. "Listen carefully. We can't meet them head-on. We'll split into 3 wings. The first will feign retreat, draw them in. The second will ambush from behind the moon's shadow. The third will stay hidden until I give the signal, then strike their supply ships. Cut the wolves from their food, and the pack scatters." The captain bristled. "Deception. That is not our way." Elias's voice hardened. "Then your way will get you killed. You want honor? Win first. Then argue about methods." Valera's tail flicked, but she nodded. "Do as he says." The fleet moved into position. Silence filled the void as they waited. Then the pirates arrived. The hostile fleet burst from hyperspace like a storm. Dozens of ships, more than the Vulpines expected, dark and jagged against the stars. At their heart was a massive cruiser, marked not with pirate sigils, but with the insignia of a foreign power, proof that this was no simple raid. "Contact in range," reported the tactical officer. Ilias's voice cut across the comms. "Wing 1, retreat path. Make it look desperate." First group of Vulpine ships broke formation, falling back as if overwhelmed. The pirates took the bait, surging forward in pursuit. "Wing 2, now." Elias ordered from behind the moon's shadow. Hidden warships emerged, unleashing a storm of fire. The pirates reeled, caught between pursuit and ambush, cut their drives, not their hulls. Elias shouted, "We want them crippled, not destroyed." The officers hesitated but obeyed. Vulpine lasers sliced into engines, leaving pirate ships spinning helplessly. The trap was working. But then the massive cruiser moved, its cannons glowing like suns. A single volley ripped through 3 Vulpine ships, tearing them apart in blinding explosions. Gasps filled the flagship bridge. Ilias's jaw tightened. So that's the real enemy. The pirates rallied around their cruiser, pressing forward. Elias knew the ambush alone wouldn't hold them. He turned to Valara. "Matriarch, we need to strike their supplies. Without fuel and munitions, their fleet collapses. Give me command of Wing 3. Valara studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Go. Prove your words true." Elias boarded the Resolute with Sira at his side. She'd refused to remain behind. "You saved me once," she said firmly. "I will not watch from the shadows while you fight for us now." He didn't argue. There was no time. The Resolute slipped away, cloaked by interference fields. They darted behind the enemy lines, weaving through the chaos of battle. Ahead lay the supply ship's fat, vulnerable targets guarded by only a handful of escorts. "Lock targets," Elias ordered. The Resolute unleashed its payload decoys, disruptors and precision plasma strikes. The supply ships erupted in flames, one after another. Fuel tanks igniting into blossoms of fire. Panic rippled through the pirate fleet as their lifeline burned. Back at the front, Valara seized the moment. "Now press the attack." The Vulpine fleet surged forward, renewed with fury. The battle raged for hours. Ships dueled among the stars, fire and wreckage scattering across the void. Elias's tactics turned the tide, but victory was not yet certain. The enemy cruiser remained, its weapons cutting through defenders like a scythe. On the Resolute, alarms blared. Shields failing. Engines damaged. A blast rocked the ship, sending Sira tumbling against the console. Elias pulled her back to her feet, heart pounding. "We can't take another hit like that," she gasped. Elias stared at the massive cruiser dominating the field. If it remained, everything would be lost. Then we take it down, he said. He called the flagship. Valera, I need your help. Lure their cruiser toward the debris field. I'll handle the rest. Valera's voice came steady and proud. Very well. Do not fail us, human. The trap was set. Valera's fleet baited the cruiser into the wreckage of destroyed ships. Maneuvering became difficult. Fields of twisted metals surrounding them. The Resolute darted among the wrecks, invisible amid the chaos. Elias brought them close to the cruiser's engines. Dangerously close. Load magnetic charges, he ordered. Sierra's eyes widened. That will kill us too. Only if we stay too long. With a final burst of speed, the Resolute fired its charges directly onto the cruiser's engines. Explosions ripped across its hull, crippling its power core. The giant ship lurched, weapons falling silent. Cheers erupted across Vulpine channels as the pirates broke. Scattering into retreat, the battle was over. On the flagship, the council watched in stunned silence as the enemy fled. Valera spoke softly, almost to herself. The humans' chaos has saved us. Back aboard the Resolute, Elias slumped in his chair, exhaustion washing over him. Sierra smiled, her silver eyes shining. You did it. You saved us all. Elias shook his head. No, we did it. You fought with me? Your mother trusted me. This was no human victory. It was all of us together. Yet in his heart, he knew something had changed. He was no longer an outsider. The law had bound him to the Vulpens, but his actions had earned him something greater than law could ever give, respect, as the fleets returned to the moon. The stars outside seemed brighter, as if the galaxy itself was watching. The war was not over. The shadowy power behind the pirates was still out there, but Elias knew one thing: whatever came next, he would face it as part of something larger than himself. And for the first time since the bond had been forced upon him, he felt that maybe, just maybe, it was not a curse, but a destiny. The Vulpine homeworld glowed in the distance, its oceans glittering like liquid silver under the light of twin moons. Commander Elias Grant stood on the bridge of the human cruiser Endeavor, staring at the vast fleet gathering before him. Never in his life had he imagined he would lead not just human ships, but also the proud and ancient Vulpine navy into battle. Yet here he was, standing between two civilizations, about to command them both against an enemy no one had truly understood until now. The pirates had been pawns all along. Their raids, their cruelty, their constant harassment of border systems had not been random. Behind them stood a shadowy alien power, one that had been probing both Vulpines and humans, testing their defenses, sowing chaos to weaken them before a greater strike. Now the time had come. The enemy fleet emerged from hyperspace in dark waves. Ships shaped like knives cutting through the void, their weapons glowing with unnatural light. The bridge of the Endeavor was tense. Human officers watched the scanners while Vulpine advisors whispered tactical suggestions, their tails flicking with nervous energy. Lady Sierra stood at Elias's side, her bright eyes fixed on the tactical display. Her mother, Matriarch Valera, remained calm but stern. Her presence, a silent reminder that Elias carried more than Comandante carried, responsibility for their honor and survival. Elias spoke, his voice steady despite the weight on his shoulders. Signal all ships. Human and Vulpine today, we fight not as two peoples but as one. If we stand divided, we fall. If we stand together, we make history. The comms officer relayed his words, and across the fleet cheers and growls of determination echoed back. Humans and Vulpines, different in body and culture, shared the same fire in that moment. The first clash, the enemy struck first. Their ships moved with frightening speed, firing beams that cut through shields like fire through paper. Two Vulpine frigates vanished in bursts of light, their wreckage scattering into the void. Panic rippled across the Allied fleet, but Elias did not flinch. He had studied their movements, their precision, their obsession with patterns. Deploy decoys. He ordered, scatter drones, disrupt their targeting? Dozens of small human drones shot forward, emitting false signals and mimicking warships. The enemy's beams turned, chasing illusions. It was a trick that seemed almost childish, but it bought precious moments. Vulpine squadrons, Elias commanded, strike while they're distracted. Hit their flanks. Graceful and swift, the Vulpine ships dove in, firing with perfect precision. Their honor-driven training made them deadly in direct combat, but what gave them an edge now was something new human, unpredictability guiding their moves. Valara watched him closely, her eyes narrowing. You use deception without shame. Elias gave a small grin. Deception keeps people alive. Honor means nothing if we're dead. For a moment, the matriarch's lips curved in what might have been approval. Fire and blood, the battle raged for hours. Every maneuver tested Elias's limits. Every loss tore at his soul. Human ships fought with stubborn endurance, while Vulpans threw themselves into combat with elegant ferocity. Side by side, they pushed back wave after wave. But the enemy adapted. Their ships stopped chasing decoys. Their formations grew tighter, their weapons more focused. It became clear they were learning. They adjust too quickly, Sarah whispered, fear flickering in her voice. Which means we stop playing their game, Elias replied. He opened a secure channel to the fleet. All ships, prepare for chaos formation. The order shocked the Vulpine captains. Their culture prized order, discipline, the beauty of precise formations. Chaos formation was something no Vulpine commander would have dared to attempt. But now, under a human, they had little choice. Ships scattered in wild patterns. Some spinning erratically, others darting at odd angles. It looked like madness, a swarm of uncontrolled craft. The enemy struggled to predict their movements, their precise beams missing wildly. It was ugly. It was dangerous. But it worked. Humans fight like storms, Valara murmured. No pattern. No rhythm. Only survival. Elias glanced at her. And storms are stronger than walls. The sacrifice victory was close, but it came at a cost. In the chaos, the enemy flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons, locked onto the Endeavor. Its beam cut deep into the hull, alarms blaring as fire spread through the lower decks. Direct hit. An officer shouted. Syrah stumbled, grabbing Elias's arm. They're targeting you. They know you're the leader. Elias made his decision quickly. Transfer command to Valara. I'll take a strike team. If we destroy their flagship, the rest will break.
Ow.
That is suicide, maybe Elias said simply. But if I don't, everything else we've done means nothing. He left the bridge before anyone could argue. A squad of human marines and Vulpine warriors followed him into a shuttle. Their mission: board the enemy flagship, sabotage its core, and end the threat at its heart. The heart of the enemy. The boarding action was brutal. The enemy were tall, insect-like beings with chitin armor and glowing eyes. Their movements were sharp and unnatural, their weapons humming with strange energy. The corridors of the flagship became killing grounds, fire echoing as humans and Vulpines fought side by side. Elias led from the front, his rifle blazing. Syrah stayed at his side, refusing to leave despite the danger. Together they cut through resistance until they reached the core chamber. Vast glowing sphere of alien energy. Explosions shook the room as the enemy poured in, desperate to protect their heart. Elias planted charges while Syrah and the others held the line. We can't hold them much longer, she cried. Elias slammed the last charge into place. Then we don't need to. The final roar? He triggered the detonator. The core erupted in a blinding flash, tearing the enemy flagship apart. The aftermath: when Elias awoke, he was lying in a medical bay aboard a Vulpine cruiser. His body ached, his vision swam, but he was alive. Beside him sat Syrah, exhausted but smiling. Valara stood behind her, regal as ever, though there was something softer in her eyes now. You lived, Valara said, her voice quiet. Barely, Elias muttered. But did we win? The matriarch nodded. When their flagship fell, their fleet broke. They scattered. The homeworld is safe. Relief washed over him. For the first time in weeks, he allowed himself to breathe. But Valara was not finished. She stepped closer, her gaze sharp. "You have done more than fight. You have bound us together, human and Vulpine. By law, you were claimed, but by choice, you have claimed us." Sira took his hand gently. "You are part of us now, Elias. Not because of tradition, but because of what you did." Elias closed his eyes for a moment, overwhelmed. He had never wanted glory or power. He had only wanted to do what was right. And somehow, in the middle of war, he had found not just allies, but family. The claim of honor the Vulpine Council gathered in their great hall days later. Humans stood among them for the first time, not as guests, but as equals. The matriarch herself spoke before the assembly. "By law, Commander Elias Grant was bound to us. But laws are chains, and chains are weak. Today I stand here to say, this bond is no chain. It is a choice. He has fought for us, bled for us, and led us to victory. He is one of us not by law, but by honor." The hall erupted in thunderous approval. Humans and Vulpines alike raised their voices together. Elias stepped forward, his heart heavy with humility. "I am just a man. But if being part of your people means standing together against what comes, then I accept. Not as law, not as duty, but as family." Valara bowed her head slightly, an honor no Vulpine leader had ever shown an outsider. Sira smiled, her eyes bright with pride. In that moment, Elias realized something greater than victory. Humanity had shown the galaxy not just their strength, but their spirit. A spirit that chose bonds over chains, family over law, and unity over division. The galaxy would never forget it. Closing as the fleets rebuilt, and the stars grew quiet once more. Whispers spread across worlds. The humans are strange. They fight without patterns. They survive against the impossible. And when bound by law, they choose instead by heart. And so the legend of Elias Grant, the human who claimed a family among the Vulpines, became more than a story. It became the beginning of a new age. An age where humans were no longer outsiders. An age where choice, not law, defined honor. And in that age, humanity had truly found its place among the stars.